So this is our second and last lesson on digital technology. The last day we looked more so at market research and how digital technologies can be used and what kind of digital technologies can be used to help a business for research. Today we are looking more at production for a business and any form of aspect of their production and how they can use technology. We're looking more at finance and we're looking at more at the costs of and the opportunities for using these technologies. Production, again, a lot of this stuff is just, I'm quickly going through it. It's not really definitions or theory like that we're focusing on. It's just things that we're going through to cover. So production, so suppliers can be researched online. If you're trying to produce any item, you can research your suppliers online rather than trying to drive around and find somebody that can produce something for you. You can click a button, you can find somebody online. Easiest way to advertise for it too. Stock control. So stock control is a big one. So if you think of it, if you have a business like SuperValu and they have thousands and thousands of items for sale, it's very difficult for them to try to employ people to stay, to keep track of how much items they've left for cornflakes and how much items they've left for, tea bags or anything like that. So all of this is stock control is an automated system where the electronic point of sale there is that when we have, let's say, our individuals who are going into SuperValu and they're buying, you pick up the box of Kellogg's cornflakes, you take it to the checkout and it's scanned through. That scanning process there, what's that automatically doing is it's looking at the stock, the database, which has, listed the amount of stock that you have for each item, and it's basically just deducting one. So the business at the start of the day has 100 boxes of cornflakes, and the first person that picks a box of cornflakes scans it through at the checkout. That database will automatically deduct one box of cornflakes. So when it comes to a point where the system feels like it's running low on an item, they can highlight that to management. And all of this stuff, it's an automated process, and it's much easier to have a system, a technology that picks up this information and stores it online and can inform you if there's something running low compared to having people going around the place counting everything like before. Now they just have scanners. They scan the barcode down the aisle for cornflakes and they write down how much is there, just to double check. But most of the work is done by an automated process. So 3 different terms here for manufacturing, designing, and integrating manufacturing for any form of, let's say, factory work or anything like that in production. These are our computer-aided design is CAD. CAM's computer aided manufacture, and SIM there at the bottom is computer integrated manufacturing, similar to robotics. So what we have in the image there is we have a factory line. We have it looks like that machine is installing rear view mirrors at the back of a car. It's either installing or it is destructing, but I'm going to assume that there's some form of installing it in and fitting it into place. Obviously, this part of the process in producing any car would have all had to been done by labor before. You've had to have people hands-on doing every step of the process, but now we have machines and people pay a lot of money for machines and they do the same job. It's a production line. One car comes, the machine does its job, the car goes away, the next car comes. So these are just terms that are used to describe this process: CAD, CAM, and SIM. Spreadsheets can be used to prepare to prepare accurate cash flow forecasts and accounts. If you are doing something similar to what we had covered already, even things like analyze cash books and budgets, this is generally done on a form of a spreadsheet. Rather than somebody writing it up on a page, you can put it on a spreadsheet, share it with other people easier. Formulas, again, can be copied to speed up calculation of accounts. If you've used Microsoft Excel before, you can basically do one command on Excel. I can literally put in one formula and then I can copy it 1,000 times over, and I can do that in the space of a minute, less, whatever time it takes me to write up the formula. And I can copy it for 1,000 different items and find 1,000 different answers. rather than obviously doing everything individually. Graphs and charts. So now we're looking at showing financial information. Graphs and charts are used to create, analyze, and interpret financial information. And obviously for presenting it here, we can see the graphs and charts in the photo. I'm using a presentation software right now. I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint. Presentation software can be used to make financial information more engaging. So not only are our graphs and charts used to show the information, most of the time you'll find that anyone that's trying to show finance information for a business is using some form of a PowerPoint because it keeps people engaged. You're showing financial information in a chart rather than showing it on numbers, and rather than handing out sheets all the time, we have a PowerPoint up the top to present and show information to the group. So for researching loans, again, quite simply, you can go on right now and research on any financial institution. You can research information on applying for a loan and get an application. Decision making is much faster. It's easier to access. If you want to literally, if you're in a factory and you're trying to communicate with management, you can send information straight away to the management and they can come back with their decision as to how to fix the problem, send it back to you. It could all be done in the space of minutes compared to sending somebody to drive, maybe to meet somebody somewhere and discuss it, and then it's much longer. So all of this stuff can be done like that. Writing personal emails and reports more efficient with word processing and email. Again, we're just covering all of this. If there is a slide that I need you to take down, and there is a few, I'll highlight it. Tax returns, so filing tax returns. So basically, if you're a business and you're trying to go through your financial information and decide on how much tax you owe, you can send and file your tax return online to the revenue online services. All of this can be done online, rather than sending letters back and forth and ringing people back and forth. All the information is available online. Investing in technology is a major cost for business. Can save a lot of costs. So if you even think of it, if I'm trying to manufacture something, if I have something, even just, let's just say Dell. Dell Technologies are obviously a company that are involved in the production of a lot of PCs, a lot of computers, and every single step of that way, I'm assuming, is done by machines, and that there's machines set up in manufacturing computers. Every step of the way is done. It's an automated process done by machines. Those machines are probably incredibly expensive, worth millions. So very difficult or very expensive to buy. But once you've bought them, you're saving a lot of costs and you're saving a lot of time because you're not employing people as much to produce. Instead, you've just machines you pay millions for, and then apart from updating the machines and staying on top of their maintaining them, you don't have much other costs. So this slide, I'm going to get you to take this one down: capital costs and capital expenditure. So capital costs are when installing new technologies, and capital expenditure refers to once-off or long-term spending to upgrade them. So if I'm installing a new technology, I'm installing a new automated system to produce my computers, that's a capital cost. And if I have a long-term spending need to upgrade them, that's my capital expenditure. So spending money on maintaining my machines and upgrading them, and every step of that process is capital expenditure. There's capital costs is installing them. So capital costs, installing new technologies. Again, we're taking this slide down, slide 42, and capital expenditure is once-off long-term spending to upgrade technologies. Capital is generally anything that's is kind of a, you'd spend money from a capital standpoint maybe once a year, once every couple of years. It's not regular spending. The regular spending would be current, but capital is generally more long-term. So more to do with costs. So recruitment and training, costs of recruiting and training specialist staff, along with the loss of work time with staff are being trained. There's a lot of time and effort that a business would put into training their staff to deal with machinery and employing somebody new. It's a lot of time and a lot of cost that will go into training people up to use this technology. Information loss. So this is another risk, more so a risk than anything with using this kind of online systems or anything to store information. If a staff by error it was to email to the public information regarding the business, or if it was to be hacked, someone gaining unauthorized access to computer data, then you're at risk of sending out confidential information to the public. Much easier to do that with online systems than obviously trying to steal paperwork. Backup. I know this myself to be a pain. Backing up, a risk of losing information if storage is not backed up. Always important that you have some form of backup, that you have saved your information somewhere else in case you lose the first point of storage. Website. Designing, maintaining, and hosting website is incredibly expensive. There's a lot of money. People spend thousands and thousands and thousands on websites and on setting them up, on paying for different domains. The whatever it is, www. Argus.com, the actual domain itself. Paying for Argus.com is quite expensive. In terms of paying for it on a year-to-year basis, and obviously having somebody to do maintenance on the website is also expensive. But if you're a big business, it's incredibly important, especially to have a website if you're trying to deal with people, nationally or internationally. It's very difficult to do that without a website or some form of online presence. Antivirus software also can be quite expensive. Cost of antivirus software for businesses, basically these are your safety features, and that if there is, as the name would say, a virus or anything like that on your computer, this type of application is used to basically intercept and prevent, kind of keep your phone, I suppose, more of a safety feature than anything. So health and safety. So health and safety issues, believe it or not, there are more and more people that are ending up, I suppose, with doctor's notes and ending up with illnesses and sickness based on using technology because of the fact that we spend a lot of the day now seated. Back injuries in office work are almost as common as back injuries in labor work. So people who might be, nurses and lifting people in and out of beds, or block layers and constantly being bent down and kind of in that position, a fixed position all day. On a building site, you'd expect them to have many more back injuries, but generally just by sitting down all day in the same position, you stiffen up, and it's not good for you. And also eye injuries. One big thing as well, I know this isn't teaching, but I do recommend it because you're using technologies a lot. Turn your brightness down on your phone. Turn your brightness down on your laptop. It is not good for your eye. You're not good for your eyesight to have that brightness up high. The max brightness on your laptop should never ever be used. It'll give you a headache. Turn it down. That's my advice. Believe it or not, there can be health and safety issues, and if you were starting off in any form of business, they'll usually give you some form of training into the best seated position for using a laptop, for your wrist, for your back, for your shoulders not coming forward, the best height for your head to go at, just because people are in these positions for a long time. A few more slides to go through. So the cost of repairing these systems obviously can be expensive. Redundancy costs, the use of technology may displace human workers, and you're seeing that more and more. You can go into, as the picture shows there, McDonald's, and you can order using some form of a screen. You can go into the self-checkouts in Tesco, SuperValu, or anywhere like that, and you don't even need to speak to a cashier. So the obviously technology is displacing workers. Businesses may have to make redundancy payments to staff, and paying off staff redundancy payments is a large payment in order to let staff go. Cost reductions. So company's website can be used to advertise its business as an online store rather than maybe paying elsewhere to advertise. You could use your own website. Workers, certain technologies can reduce the number of workers required. Again, we've seen that many times over, talking about SuperValu checkouts and things like that. The technologies can reduce the amount of money you'll pay for employees, for labor. Teleworking cuts down on costs by reducing the need for large premises for staff to work in. Again, I'd highlighted teleworking for you to take down the last day. It was one of our slides where we looked at the idea from working from home is teleworking. you can imagine that if an office decided that, you know what, we don't need to rent a building anymore, everybody just work from home, that you'll save a lot of money for that business. And emails can be sent to many people more quickly and cheaper than sending letters. Again, quickly going through the production, the increased use of technology in production allows for standardization and mass production. Every single bottle of Fanta looks the same because it's done automatically by machines. There is no difference. There's no different styles of producing depending on who's doing it. The machine does it the exact same every time. Sales and marketing, so using digital technologies and sales and marketing allows a business to see what consumers are buying and pick which sector of the market to focus on. Again, for forms of research we have gone through. There's just a couple of more. Again, it can be quite repetitive, but this is just a chapter I'm finishing today. We need to just go through the information. Customer relationship management, CRM, describes the use of a variety of strategies and technologies to manage interactions with customers. So you can have any form of online platform where you can discuss or kind of come up with strategies on how to deal with customers and interacting with them, obviously, rather than meeting them face to face. Sales people can use smartphones and laptops to access updated information at any time. And our travel and meetings, a business can use email and video conferencing to reduce the cost. Again, look, this kind of chapter is it's new, so the information here is just overload. We've looked at this quite a bit in terms of conferencing or working from home can reduce costs because you don't have to travel to meet people. We're almost done. Employees, technologies can reduce the number of employees employed in the business to improve the efficiency of those employed. Again, automated using machinery. Routine tasks can be automated. So again, you have your production in your whatever packaging for your product. It's all done by machines. So last slide. You'd be glad to hear, because to be honest, this is quite for an interesting topic that it is. The course itself has just decided to put in too much information, I think. Trying to kind of make up for the lack of information there was before, so it can be quite repetitive. The impact of digital technologies on consumers, so I'm going to take this slide down as well. So businesses use their obsession with technology to sell us more goods and services. The use of social media, influencers, notifications, and personalized contents are all a way in which businesses try to influence our buying decisions. So any form of advertising online, and they're trying to influence how you buy and what you buy. We discussed yesterday about personalized ads based on the information that you've been typing into Google, and apparently the information that you might be stating that your phone is picking up, and they're using this information to basically feed you their products depending on which ones they think you will buy. Social media influencers are often paid to promote products because they have a big audience. And the Advertising Standards Board for Ireland, that's the last one, and it's quite important that you take that down. It states that such posts must be clearly marked as marketing communication using hashtag ad or sponsored post or similar, so that people can be aware that this person is being paid to say the things that they're saying. The Advertising Standards Authority for Ireland, I'll get you to write down just a little bit more on that, because that's quite an important term. So they're an authority for Ireland, the ASAI, and what they're in charge of basically is monitoring different businesses from an advertising standpoint, and just basically keeping other businesses in check, so that more often than not that nobody's lying, that people aren't putting out false claims. People aren't claiming that there's 60% off all their items when in actual fact there isn't. It's just a standardization across the board. So they monitor businesses advertising and just making sure that people are keeping within the rules. So the Advertising Standards Authority for Ireland is the ASAI. Make sure you have that in your hardbacks. That's coming up in 20 minutes. That is our second and last lecture on digital technologies. I've given you a small bit of homework to do. And that's that for this week. Again, there's not too much questions that have come up previously on this topic, so it's a case of just covering it. There's probably only less than a page of material that I got you to write in your notes copy, but it's not very commonly asked, I suppose, as of now, but it will be much more, especially with teleworking from working from home. Small bit of homework to do. Apart from that, enjoy your weekend.